Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, PSGF Part 6. The passive solar green frame is coming together and I'm working on a door. That's right, there's a door on, which means we've made progress from number 5. So as I finish putting this plate on so the door will stay closed, let's get you caught up on what's been going on with the passive solar green frame. Let's begin with the top of the PSGF. I still needed to build the last and final wall that would sit just on top of where the long plates of glass were going to be sitting. Now the main challenge with this part of the build was the height at which I had to get up and down and measure and pound and cut. After connecting an extension piece, if you will, to my 4x4 center beam, I was able to put the wall that I assembled down below up into the top. Now that lift was one of the most dangerous moves of the PSGF to date. I don't think I filmed that part, and it's likely a good thing, or you'll all be telling me to be careful, though I do appreciate those caring sentiments. Now it was time to paint. I wanted the rafter pieces to be fully painted before I moved on with the build. I chose a lighter gray that matches the outside house color, knowing I'd have the white windows, the trim work. The rest I still had to figure out. I'd show you more painting, but that'd be kind of like watching paint dry. Now the puzzles. I needed to put the OSB on the front side of the PSGF, both top and bottom. Boy, did I end up with some very interesting shapes. I also ended up with some very sore forearms after all that jigsawing. Sharp blades make life easier. I have a new air compressor and nail gun. However, it's more of a trim gun, so I really couldn't use that. I had to rely on the good old hammer for this section.
So one of the challenges of the passive solar green frame project has been all of the sand that came out of the original hole. So this is the sand that's still left, and we want to spread out this whole area and make it flat and presentable, but I need a place to put all the sand. So underneath the benches on the east side of my property, I can put all kinds of sand under there, then new mulch. So I already started to do that in between my gardens. So there is the sand in between the garden beds. Raised it up about an inch or two. We'll put some new mulch on there. If I come over here, I did the same thing here, but I already have some recycled mulch where the sand was. So I've cleaned out all the mulch from this area. Now I just need to bring some sand in.
Spreading out that sand will definitely help that final decorating portion of the back corner of our garden. It felt good to get some fresh mulch in there and clean things up. The trees look better without all those weeds trying to take over too. Now, yes, more painting. I was getting the trim boards ready to put around all the windows. While the paint dried between coats, I started to put the house wrap around the structure. Now the north wall again was the easy part. The rest needed a bit more care to get it done. Now I was very excited to get the windows on, but I needed to give them a quick wash first. They cleaned up nicely and were ready to put in place for good. While they were drying, though, I put in my door quick. My first ever door installation. Now, I watched my friend put our new door in our upstairs remodeled bedroom, so I had a decent idea of what to do. It hangs a little stiff, but I'm happy with my first effort. I'm ready for the windows. I have the house wrap up, purchased some sealer tape and some premium sealer tape, and boy, that premium stuff is super flexible, really nice to work around the window edges and corners to stretch it out so the windows can fit in much easier. I was able to use my new nail gun and compressor with the trim boards around the windows. Boy, was that a treat. I might have to get a bigger one, a bigger gun that is, for the bigger nails for my next project. The windows all went in with not too much struggle. And what would this epic project be without more aerial footage? Thanks to Toby for another quick support visit and some great drone footage. Thanks, Toby. So not only is the door in place, but I was able to get all 5 of the windows in place. Now, I started thinking that I was going to have these windows ventable, where I could push them out a little bit and have some air circulating in there. But with my measurements in the end, I didn't have enough wiggle room to add another layer of framing in boards, like a 1x4, which is 3/4 inch thick. And, you know, I was really worried about the moisture. And if they're open and they're openable, closable, they wouldn't be as tight of a seal for the, well, what it is. It's a greenhouse. It's going to be really humid and warm inside and moist, and there's going to be rain that comes down, of course, the elements, which could make the windows, a lot of the rain maybe get inside some of the nooks and crannies. So instead, I did put them in solid. Let's take a peek at our windows. So here we have the front 3 windows in place. Now these 2 fit upright, and this one had to go sideways to be the same measurement as this. It was give or take an inch or so, and so there's a little bit different in the framing, but again, I'll notice that. You'll notice that if you come and stare at my green frame for a couple of minutes. You maybe find some imperfections, but again, these were recycled windows free from a neighbor down the street. They were just on the side of the road, and I said, hey, you using those? And they just, well, no, we're getting new ones, and so I grabbed these windows. So they got the panes in there. We've got 3 windows laid out. They're all in. We've got our trim board and some drip plates, and this is the house wrap for the moisture barrier. And so we've got 3 windows in the front that are looking pretty good. Let's check out a side window. So back on the west side of the green frame where the door is, I have the one of the 2 side windows. So this one is one of the taller, slender windows of the bunch, and so I put this right in here, made a nice window between the door and this corner. So we've got some now insulation space. This part of it will all be insulated to retain some of that heat in the winter, but then we also have plenty of light coming through. And again, these were going to possibly be some potential venting windows, but I just didn't have the wherewithal, and I just put them in there. We've got some vents up top. The door can be wide open. I think we're going to be okay. So there's this side window, and then of course there's one on the other side to match. And so as I come around the east side of the green frame, here is the other window that matches the window over there. So pretty symmetrical for the shape I created. And here we have the trim work in here. We have the water vapor barrier here. And so this whole side, other than the window and the vent window up top, is going to be, again, insulated pretty well so we don't lose a lot of that heat in the wintertime months. And we still have plenty of front window light to get those plants nice and lovely. So this is the east side with the east window. And so what am I going to do today to finish this video? I ended up buying some fence planks that are all pre-cut and dog-eared, you know, and they kind of got that rough look, and I went ahead and stained them a darker gray than this gray, and we're going to put these slaps, kind of like these slats here, in kind of a shiplap form. We're just going to go up and put them there, here, and here. And when this is done with the plywood and some water vapor barrier protection, we'll put it up here as well, so it has something nice and pretty to look at. I just have to now cut and measure. It's a lot of work, and in the end, it's probably going to be really worth it. So the first section is done, just one fence section plus some extra did this whole section right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3 more, and the front part will be done. From the bottom of the rafters for the big solar glass panels down to here, we'll put a thin one right along the bottom all the way across. Looking pretty sharp. Well, there we have it. We've got the left, the 2 centers, and the right all shiplapped with the dark gray stain, which gives us some nice texture now in the front. We have a lot of very white, bright window trim. These will be probably covered up a little bit with some kind of a protection over here. Not sure yet on that. But again, next up, we got to get these jigsawed into the right shape up there and cover those up, and then we can start putting some shiplap, if you will, upright those. And I think I have just enough boards to get up at least one side, maybe both. For today's work, I thought this would be perfect because it's so hot. So I received the fan that's going to circulate the air in the passive solar green frame, and today, right now, it's 90 outside. Dew point of about 74. It feels like 100. We've been in a mini heat wave yesterday and today. Feels like over 100. Trying to stay in the shade, do a couple things. A lot of time with rehydration, going in and out of the house for air conditioning and shade. But I was a little bit too, well, liberal with my piping. And I don't want the fan way up here. If I have to work on the fan, it's up there, it's a little bit high. I want the fan to be right here if I'm working on it. So I've got a fan that's going to sit in here, and then we'll use ducting to go up here to suck in the hot air from on top and blow it on down. And I'll be able to attach this fan to a little box that I'll put outside. Once this wall is secure, insulated, and a wall on here, I'll be able to attach it right to this wall, so it'll be really firm. It'll keep this in place. So I've got some duct tape on there now, and a log and a rock, and that was really just to keep some extra moisture out of this tube down to the bottom. But now I'm going to measure down and try to find that I'll be raised about 2 more inches. Comfortable lever to work on this thing is going to be right around here. So let's measure that and see if we can cut that open today. There we go. We just broke it off. So I've got a little bit of a point right there.
The rest of it's not too bad. So we're going to shave that off. Not too bad for upright, sideways. Let's go get the fan and some power this thing up. And if I put the fan in here and I blow some air, I should get cool air coming up the return. So this is gonna be the first time I've tried this. Let's go get all our stuff and we'll plug it in and play. Okay, this is the exciting part. So here we have the fan that's gonna attach to the wall right here. And it's gonna sit right in here. And we're gonna be able to create a seal on there so it's nice and tight. And then there's gonna be some duct work that's gonna go this way. Got some sand in there. There we go. And that's gonna give a little bit more direct airflow from like pretending the top of the cold frame. I'm gonna attach now the power source to an extension cord. I have a power generator that's solar powered that'll be hooked up in the very near future when this is going. So here is a sensor. Now this comes with a sensor built right in, and I have a sensor gauge for me to look at, and I'm going to put this on the wall as well. And I can set this to go off if it's too hot, if it's too cold, if it's too humid, or if it's too dry to circulate the air. 4 different ways that I can have this kick on automatically. So again, it's about 90, feels like about 100, and right now this is set for to go off, I believe. Oh, it's hard to see in this light. I have to see if I can brighten that up a little bit. So we are at 88 degrees according to the sensor in my hand right now. 88 degrees. And I have this set so it'll go off at 90 degrees. We're gonna go ahead into settings and we're gonna change high temperature. Well, that's a problem if I can't read this. I'm gonna have to figure this out, see if I can get some brighter image on here. After looking a little closer on here, it's set for 92 degrees because I knew it was about 90 out here. Now the sensor is registering 90 degrees. So if I go down a couple of degrees to about 85, you clear out of here. There we go. We have liftoff. The fan is running. If you can hear that audible, not too terribly loud, it should be sucking air from up there. Or is it blowing? The fan turned on because I set it to 85 degrees. And so it's 90 out here. The sensor is picking up on that. It's sucking in the air from up top. And it's bringing it down to the, all of the air tubes down below the rocks and the soil. And if I go like this right here, oh, see, now I need a temperature sensor right here. This is nowhere near 90 degrees. That's really comfortable. This is air conditioning on a 90-degree day. This is coming from below, underneath the rocks, in the air tubes. This air is always going to be that 50, 60 degrees maybe in the summertime with all the warm air circulating through, and then hopefully 40 to 50 in the wintertime. I need another sensor to measure the temperature right here. Let me go see if I can get one of my thermometers and just stick it down the tube. So I turned the fan back on, and I went inside and got my Inkbird. So I have an Inkbird thermostat regulated power source. Inkbird, I-N-K bird. And right now, I've got the sensor down the tube here, and I'm gonna see if I can get a temperature reading on this current PVC pipe down below. This would be nice if this went down into the 60s before it was all over. That would be good air conditioning on a day when it's 90 degrees. That would be a 30-degree difference from underneath the ground and the surface up there. We're at about 77 degrees right now. So again, I have an Inkbird thermostat regulated power source. So when this gets cold enough or hot enough, it could turn on or off the power right here onto something else in my cold frame. So if it gets too cold in here, and this is monitoring the temperature after all of this circulation is going on. If it gets below freezing, this one can kick off my heater if I absolutely need a heater. We're at 75.5 degrees here, a little over that. So far, 15 solid degrees cooler, which does cool off the greenhouse. I'd love it to get into that upper 60 range. Wouldn't that be nice? I don't know if I'm going to reach it. It's slowing down. So we're going to be able to play around with this and see what we need to do as far as any adjustments. But right now with that fan running, it's blowing, it's sucking air out of the top of the tube. It's going down through the system of vents down below, all the air tubes, and coming up here. A real nice, it's actually feeling really good on my arm right now because I am sweating bullets out here in the 90-degree temp. We've kind of stopped at about 75.5 degrees. So we've got about a 15 to 16 degree difference because I think we're up to 91 now. So about 15 solid degrees difference. Now that doesn't sound like as much as I was hoping for. I was really hoping that the ground down there would be a little bit cooler. But it is warm. We haven't cycled any cool air down there, and in the summertime that temperature down there is going to get certainly a little bit warmer. And of course we want it to hold heat in the wintertime, so it's holding whatever heat it has. And right now it's just the rocks and the sand and all the heat coming through these beautiful warm days, and these air tubes that circulate the air down there just naturally. This works. The fan works. The system works. There is cold air coming up from down below. On a 90+ degree day, we're getting 75.5 degrees from down below. Now if we keep circulating the warm air for a long time, that'll get warmer and warmer, and this air might turn into maybe 70, somewhere around 80, 85. So I should leave it on for a while and see if the temperature increases in the next half hour or so. But the test completed. Now we're just going to have to find a way to get that all secure in the ductwork when everything's done on the inside, and we will have a system of regulated air circulation. It is a couple of days later. I couldn't put up my OSB because I didn't have long enough pieces. I wanted to make sure it was one piece from the bottom all the way to the top. So I had to go to the store, the big box store, and get some more big sheets, partly for the roof and partly for here. Now the only problem is my car was in the shop, my van that carries all the big pieces of wood. So I wasn't able to go in for a couple of days while they fixed the van. So what's left is we get to make it look pretty. So we've got the vapor barrier up there and also some caulking in all the cracks so we don't get any water leaking through where we don't want it to be leaking through. And now it's just a matter of more cutting and measuring and pounding on kind of that shiplap with the gray stained pieces of fence wood. We're almost with the roof, and the shiplap on the front and the left side, the west side, is almost complete. Another work day is winding down. I think it's a good time to stop. I had enough fence boards stained to go all the way up the side. We got about 3/4 of the way up this side, and I was able to put a quick little trim little same color board in between there. That's one of my weak spots. I got to fix that later. Also, I had the roof pieces cut into 4 pieces to fit up on the roof, and I got the first one secure up on top. But boy, we're getting really close. We'll put those other roof pieces on there and finish up the front of these boards, and we'll see if we can wrap up part 6 here in just a little bit. I need to go shower up, change clothes, go out to dinner with some friends tonight. We'll see you in a click. But so far, I'm feeling pretty good about the passive solar green frame. Well, there were a few kinks along the way. A few kinks here and there. A couple things we have to patch up a little bit. But when it's all covered up, no one will see it but you and I. The roof is on. And it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sweating bullets already. But I just wanted to get the roof on. I'm all out of slats. So this is a good place to wrap up PSGF part number 6. What a fantastic feeling to have that roof on. So we'll go ahead and cover the inside later, much later. I just know that I have a roof over it. We'll put the glass panels on here in the next week or so. I've ordered those windows for up top. We'll see if we can get those constructed and put on there. And then it's completely enclosed except for the vents. And for the rest of the summer and fall, the vents are open and just fine. We'll put a metal roof on the top, so the perfection part of this going up was not the, I want it to be sturdy, I want it to be strong and safe, I want it to be leak proof when we put stuff over it, but when we put a metal roof on the outside on top of that, that'll cover up any imperfections, and we should be in good shape. That is going to do it. PSGF, the Passive Solar Green Frame Part 6 is coming to an end. Hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll see you very soon on the next one.